This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Search Committee for August 25th, 2022. And we have two of our team members, Kate Rooks and Diana Federman, and two guests for today, our police chief, Ian Illingsworth, and Eliza Pluta, the principal of Norris School. So welcome, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. We should be able to make this a pretty short and efficient meeting, I think. I just wanted to get an update on a couple things, and let's just start. There's no open time for the public. Anybody hanging out there? I don't believe so, as usual. And we're going to forego any minutes of our last meeting and just kind of jump right into the one grant that was of interest to us. And I know, thank you much, Ian and Eliza, for attending the webinar. And Diana, I don't know if you had joined in or not. I had tried to, but I was too late. So
no, I didn't.
Yeah, so this
I don't know
was
what I was doing.
This was the Safe Routes to Schools one, and there is, I'll just share one little bit here. There is a see if I can find this here. Let's see. Oops, wrong one. Hang on. Oh goodness, wrong one again. Oh goodness gracious. Well, never mind. Now I lost my own Zoom. Hold on 2 seconds. I hate this. I hate this thing. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the webinar, I guess both of you were able to attend, which is great. So thank you for doing that. And there will be a video coming out. They haven't released it yet, from what I know. So that will be of help to us at some point in time. But I wanted to get back to this crazy front page here. Come on here. Oh, nothing wants to cooperate. Here we go. So I don't know how many people might have been on the call. Was it fairly well attended, or?
I think I saw 72 at most.
Oh, wow. Well, that's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, for 351
Okay.
towns and how many school districts, you know?
Yeah, right. So good. Well, let's we'll kind of maybe I'll run through the notes that I had seen in written form from the website. But basically, this is a grant that is due in about a month's time. So by September 23rd. So we have time to work on it if we decide to do that. The main thing is it's a very quick grant, from what I'm understanding, is once this gets decided on, it's really all got to be done in this time frame here. So starting somewhere in March, most likely, and absolutely done by the end of the fiscal year. And absolutely doesn't sound like a whole lot of forgiveness if the last invoices are late going in as well, from what I was gathering from their website. And I think what I understand is that once we have the idea and they determine that they like the idea or the need is convincing enough, actually the program provides the technical assistance to do the technical design of the project. Is that what I'm understanding? Is that what it sounded like?
I am not sure about that part.
Because this scoping
yeah.
meetings and the walk audits, that's what I was sort of understanding, is that DOT really kind of becomes the technical expert on this, but I wasn't clear.
I wasn't
honestly.
clear even from the webinar, but I do know that they do come out and we'll do a walkthrough with the town and myself and anybody else who wants to come to kind of look at the project.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That feels like they're the ones who are kind of, taking the lead on it.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear that specifically.
Okay, that's what I wasn't totally sure what they did.
Right.
I've got through all the silly pages that I don't need here. I'm sorry. Come on. I guess I wanted to be sure of a couple things. So basically, signs and lines program, basically $6,000 maximum available, and basically looking within a certain radius of primary school. So that kind of is our wheelhouse anyway. And then looking at helping eliminate any barriers for kids getting to school, whether they're walking or biking, or using perhaps a wheelchair or some other device. And part of the money would basically be to help, I guess, with signage, maybe crosswalks. But Ian, I think you mentioned that it wouldn't be enough to put in like a flashing yellow sign or warning sign or something, right?
The solar flashing signs, I got the impression would not be enough for 6,000 would not meet that.
Right.
Now, I don't know what the requirements are either. I don't know. I wish perhaps maybe we should have reached out to Randall to have him, participate, because I don't know if it can just be sidewalks and then we can put the sidewalk markers in the middle of the road. Like I don't know if you need, I don't know if it's code now to have the actual yellow blinking caution lights.
Okay. Yeah. Or
And I'm
maybe
not sure.
just, or maybe just that, whatever that cone type thing is that sits in the middle of a crosswalk is what you're talking about.
Right.
Is right.
That's also traffic mitigation. That helps. That's traffic calming. Just even those
Right.
those signs.
Right. Okay. And basically the applicant has got to be both the school and the town together. And the application itself looks very simplistic, I guess I would say. I mean, it's an Excel form. It doesn't look terribly detailed or anything. And the school has to already have a partnership with the Safe Routes to School program for at least 6 months. And as I looked at things, we definitely have had back in, I don't know, 2015 or somewhere around there. And then I think the new sidewalks are done by the school going up to Cumbies around 2018, I believe, maybe, from what I think I saw. Yeah.
I meant to go online and make sure that we were a partner, but I can't imagine that we're not. We've done many things with them over the last 8 years that I've been here. So I do need to go check. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can pull that up, so I will when I'll just flip through this a minute. So basically it's supposed to be low cost. It's going to be quick, quick projects, half a mile within the school zone, and basically a safety issue that most towns are going to be looking at. One thing I thought I had read somewhere, and I don't know, do we have kids that actually bike to school?
Yes.
There are some? Okay.
We have a few. Yeah, especially in the early fall and late spring.
Okay. Wasn't sure about that, but yeah.
Because
All
we
right.
have a bike rack.
Okay.
You'll see about 10 bikes there, up to 10. Yeah.
Okay, so we actually do have some, because I was thinking about that, if we needed bike racks or things like that, or other signage around the school. So one of the things that we were talking about, I know Ian had brought this up a while back, was the possibility of having crosswalk at one or maybe two places right there on Pomeroy Meadow, around Parsons Way and Rosalie Lane. And these are the kinds of things that could be put up. So speed limit signs, crossing signs, etc. And then doing the crosswalk itself, which is part of bullet 2. So those sound like some of the basic things, like Ian said, that does not seem to include any kind of flashing amber light. So that would be a separate thing, but we probably do need to find out. If not from Randall, I could probably send an email off to this Diane Hansen who ran the webinar, and just have her just give us an idea of any requirements from DOT's level. If you can only do a crosswalk with that sort of cone type thing in the middle of the crosswalk, or if you have to have flashing lights, we could probably get a couple of questions asked. I didn't see, like on many grants, where you have to have questions available only for a certain time period and then they won't answer any more questions. I don't think it's that type of grant. So I'm thinking we can have a little bit of dialogue to clarify things. They obviously don't do any recurring costs or any of those kinds of things. So I guess the question is two things in my mind. I thought I had heard, and this is something I'd want to verify, that it has to be a K-8 school. If that's true, then that lets us out of the loop, right?
I did not hear that at the seminar.
I believe they allowed it to go to 8th grade now.
Right.
I think they extended it to 8th grade. That's my understanding was.
Okay. All right. Well, that would be something I would just want to check before we went down too far, just to be sure. But yeah. Okay. So, and we're technically pre-K through 6, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Just to double check on that. And then I think what we would need to do is, I mean, this seems like a great idea to have a couple of crosswalks perhaps there, but I think in order to really justify this, we really do need to have a better understanding of how many kids might live in those areas. And I guess Ian, at some point you'd been approached by a couple of the parents kind of asking about that, but I don't know that we know much about
I don't have the
The-
numbers. I'm sure, I believe, Aliza, you might be able to, or Mickey might be able to pull that up.
Yeah, we'll
Mhm.
get the numbers. We'll
Yeah.
get the numbers.
yeah. So you probably, I mean, not until you get kids in school next week will you really have a chance to know anything though, right? So,
Well, we can pull it right from our data system
okay.
of addresses of kids that live in the
Huh,
Parsons, Rosalie. It's Courtney, Parsons and Rosalie.
Which
I
one is
think-
Courtney? Is that closer to,
The highway.
yeah,
Yeah.
by the bounce house? Okay. All right. Yeah, and I don't know, would that be too many to have more than one crosswalk along that area? I mean,
So, again, this is where it's outside my wheelhouse, but I don't know when you have a crosswalk, if you have to have a concrete pad, if you have to have the, that yellow, grooved, panel for
Right.
seeing disabled people.
right,
So I don't, that's where I think maybe reaching out to the DOT or Randall,
Yeah.
or request him to, maybe we can get a better idea of what is actually needed, because I
right.
don't know how much even that would be, or how much of a sidewalk do you actually have to have, or could it just be a square and then
Yeah.
the crosswalk?
Right,
I don't know.
Right.
That's the thing.
yeah. Because we definitely wouldn't be talking about a sidewalk on that side of Pomeroy Meadow, right? We
Right,
need
and if you did, obviously this grant wouldn't support it.
Yeah, right. So it'd have to be something else, but this would be just basically for a safer crossing for the kids in those areas. Is there any other place farther up Pomeroy that would be similar? I don't know. There's a couple of other developments a little bit beyond.
They're all on the same side of the road, for
Okay,
the most part, same side with sidewalk access.
yeah, okay. So not quite the same. Okay. All right. So this would be probably the logical thing to try and focus on, because I think anything beyond that half mile is not going to be, doable, obviously. So I just wanted to be sure that that's what we were understanding. Was there anything in particular, that came up in terms of questions or thoughts that came out of the meeting that kind of struck you as something that we would want to pay attention to, or anything special?
No, you could, your own budget could augment the project as well. So say the cost was $12,000 and the community wanted to put in 6,000, that's acceptable.
Okay.
I got
So
that
if
out of
it-
the meeting.
If it was a little bit more expensive than what they're allowing, yeah, okay. And this is where I highlighted here. So the green is what I highlighted in terms of what I was wondering about their role. So they'll provide the needs assessment, project design, and bid package with input from the municipality and school at no cost. So to me, that
That might
means that,
include the questions that we're asking.
yeah, I mean, that to me kind of fits in. Remember the sidewalk we did in front of the cemetery? We had the Rick Bryant from Stantec. That was free technical assistance that the program provided to us as a separate person, and he was kind of the liaison for us with DOT. This sounds somewhat similar, although no technical assistance entity is mentioned anywhere. But I think I would want to just verify this and just see if that's true. I mean, if that's true, then we can tell them what we want, and somebody would come out and sketch it out like Rick did, perhaps, and maybe that's all we really need to worry about. I don't know. This was a sample budget, so this is just giving everybody an idea of what it costs for, a stop sign maybe, or just various other signs that could be there. And then where's the crosswalk? This would be the single, crosswalk here. So 3,200 is the biggest thing, would be the crosswalk itself with the thermoline pavement, the big, very visible white markings, I gather.
Right.
And so this gives a rough idea of something similar. And I don't know, there may be other signage. I guess that would be one thing too, just to take a look at what signage is already around the school. Does some of that need replacing? Does it need additional signs for any reason? That there might be things there that we could think about as well. So that's, like I say, it's not terribly complicated, I don't think. We need to involve, so we'd have to involve Randall at some point. We want to have him as a support letter person as well as select board. Again, all these keywords, the traffic calming and speed reduction. And I think, Ian, you have been doing a speed study, have you not, on Palmer Meadow?
I have the board up now doing a speed study to show how many cars are going by daily.
Great. Okay.
I gotta change it to the other side so it gets both directions. So
Right.
I'm gonna do that. I'll have that done tomorrow. And then
Good.
we'll have some data to show at least
Yeah.
an estimated amount of vehicles that travel. And you'll be surprised how many there are.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. And is there a way to, I have no idea what would make any impact with these guys, but is there a way to say, between school drop-off times, between, I don't know what, 7:30 and 8:30 or something in the morning, there's this much traffic, and from 1:30 to 2:30, there's this much traffic? Can you narrow it down?
Yes, that you can narrow it down. The unfortunate thing is, will the data be too late by the time the school, because obviously the traffic will increase with the school there.
Right.
So Aliza, when does school start?
Wednesday,
Okay, all right. Well,
31st.
all right,
So
then
we
we
could-
can make that work. It's got to be in by the 23rd, right?
Right. Yeah. So we'd have
September.
a
We've got
solid,
some time then. Sure.
solid 2 weeks anyway of
Yeah.
data.
Yeah, we could do that then.
So I think that would be good. I mean, to have the overall, volume, I think is great, but it might be, a good convincing point to try and talk about.
It also will give the average speeds too.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that's important too.
Right. Okay. So it's basically just an Excel document. There may be some supporting documents that we would have that we wanted to submit, but I think both it could be even Ed or Aliza and Ed, or we'd have to figure it out how many people need to sign it, but it doesn't look like it's terribly complicated. So the first bit is just who's the applicant, which is all the the standard stuff, and then especially the safe routes to partner, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Are we a partner? And I think yes, we are. I think where we might fall short, given what I've seen, Aliza, is I don't know that we've done much in the last 2 years with COVID. So that's where we've probably been pretty silent, and I don't know if that might work against us, but it's, nonetheless, we are on their radar, I believe. And then this would be the kinds of things that I know you'd be able to figure out. Obviously the number of grades, but the most recent enrollment data, daily number of walkers and bikers, if we have any possibility. And like you say, that may change a bit with the seasons.
right?
And then a description of the project, and then noting issues that are going to be addressed. What are we trying to solve? As usual, what's the problem we're trying to solve? And then how would it benefit the students? So this all kind of ties into all those things about safety and those kinds of things. And do we think we would have additional student walkers and bikers compared to those that are being driven? I don't know if we could predict anything, but maybe.
Right.
And then letters of support from the various stakeholders, which is not a big deal. And then I think it's just basically signature forms and agreeing that we understand the terms. So what I don't get is that whole design part, because there's nothing in here that does this. But that's where I think I want to just double check here. But they do talk about how they evaluate the various applications that come in. And on a score of 100, they break it down here. So they want to know pretty much about the partnership information. That takes quite a big score. And then some of these other questions that were up above are like 10 points apiece or something like that. So I think the partnership information is one pretty good one that would be the bulk of the score, basically. So that's kind of what I saw there. I'm going to stop sharing that for a minute, and then I'm going to see if I can find, it may have gone away now. It's possible. I did have at some point. Hold on. Oh, it's there. Okay. If I can find the right thing to share, that would be a question. Can I share? Can I share? Probably not. Hold on. Here we go. Oops, no, hang on. I'll get there in a minute, a second. I love my Zoom. You'd think I would get this right after a while here. Here we go. Okay. So let me see if I can move this over. So this is the dashboard that's on the state website for us. If I can move this over, no. All right. I'm gonna try and do this way. All right. Can you everybody see this here?
Yep.
So according to this, we've been part of the program since 2008. Students around 562, which sounds about in the neighborhood, I think, somewhere that I've heard about, but I don't know.
We're lower, yeah, we're lower.
Lower
now.
than that now? Okay. All right. And then I have to get, I don't know if you can see over here, I have my pictures in my way, which I can't figure out how to get rid of here. Well, anyway, there we go. I'm just going to get rid of them. So according to this, the last thing we did was back in October of 2020. Does
Yep.
that sound right? Maybe,
Yep.
Eliza?
Yep.
All right.
I forget that walk to school day is part of safe routes to school. So that's
Right.
good.
Yeah, they do count that. Yeah. And then 2018 before that, and then some safety training also in 18. So we did a couple of different safety trainings.
Yeah, we had them come talk about helmets for riding your bike and how to walk across in the crosswalk and how to look both ways before crossing. I remember that now.
Right, yeah. And then there was a parent survey back in 17, a bike safety assembly by Massachusetts Bike, I guess.
Mhm.
And another parent survey in 17, and then down to 14. So I think that's kind of it. So we had a couple lapses 14 to 17, but then 17 and 18 were very active years for us by the looks. And then the most recent thing since October of 2020. So I think, you know, to the extent we can keep an eye out on anything. I know last year there were a couple things that maybe came up, and I think you were shorthanded without a deputy principal and whatever else was happening, right? So I think we maybe didn't join in on a couple of events that they would have counted, but you know, I think we can make a case for it. But at least we're on the screen. We look like we're a partner, and
Mhm.
you know, maybe there are others that are going to get stronger points just because they've been more regular. I don't know, but
Right.
can't hurt to try.
Yeah.
So anybody have any thoughts about this? I think seems like it's worth trying. It's the only one I've seen that kind of makes this linkage to what we're hoping to do in terms of a crosswalk and safety areas. But I think I do need to reach out to the DOT or the people that put on the webinar anyway and find out a couple questions about the technical assistance part of this and some basics about what's required of crosswalks, etc. So any thoughts in terms of what you think you'd like to try and go for it?
I'd love to. I mean, I would love to hear from them about, you know, you don't want to inconvenience the townspeople either by having 3 crosswalks, right? One for
Mhm.
Courtney, one for Rosalie,
Right.
and one for Parsons, and there are no sidewalks there. So I just don't know if you give a crosswalk to one of the 3,
Yeah.
does it really decrease the amount of kids? Does it increase the amount of kids walking to school? Is it only one circle? You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
circle or circle. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Hmm.
I would also, if we only can get one and it costs $3,000 and we still have $3,000 left in the grant, can we talk if the crosswalks don't pan out as a project? I'm just wondering if we can do signage about where buses should be, where parent pickups should be, or something that has to do with the bikes and bicycle safety,
Hmm. Hmm.
because in our school handbook, it says something like, no bikes should be ridden on school property. So we're asking the kids to, get off your bike when you get to the circle or the half circle, the bus loop, and then walk your bike to the to the bike racks. Do we need signage for that? And I don't want too much signage because you don't want
Yeah,
parent pulling in and going, oh my God, where do I go? You know?
yeah, right, yeah. Well, and sometimes the signage too could be, cleverly, painted, tarmac too, I mean, just without, without, big signs, but it could be, footprints or something saying, go here, whatever.
Right.
Out of the bike racks are right in the front of the school, I assume?
Yep. It
Okay,
says
that's-
Norris Tigers. And
Yeah,
it's a bike
okay,
rack. Yep.
yeah,
it's a
okay,
gift.
now that you
yeah.
say that, yeah, I hadn't particularly focused on them, yeah, okay. All right, good. Well, I know we've got, other traffic concerns around town, but I think this is the only one that, really fits the school, issue as well. So it seems like it's one that we ought to be able to try and do. And I don't think, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that time consuming as long as we can pull the data together. And it seems like we've got enough time to actually do that. So as well as run the study, Ian. So I think,
And some of the pitches that we can make too, if we were to go this direction, that crosswalks are, they statistically are traffic calming.
Mhm.
And if we can show that, with that traffic data, that the average or mean speed is, let's say, 45, when it should be a lot less, especially in a school zone,
Right.
that might help towards, the argument just in and of
Right.
itself.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's just a pitch for the narrative part.
Yeah.
Portion.
Okay. All right. Good.
Well, are you thinking 1 or 2 crosswalks? You thinking, or you're still,
And that's where I think 3 would be a lot, and certainly the grant wouldn't cover 3 anyway, but
and
I
so,
don't think Courtney Lane, just knowing that neighborhood myself, I don't know if there are any, there may be one family maybe that might be from there that have children of that age,
Right.
yeah,
just knowing the street and the residents, they're all older kids. The other 2, I don't know, but obviously I've gotten, emails about concerns about crossing the road.
mhm.
I don't know what that would be.
Now, on the backside, does Rosalie connect with Parsons so that if there one, say, at
Yeah.
Parsons, the kids could walk on the, walk the back way around and come onto a crosswalk at Parsons? Yeah,
that's
Yeah, it's-
unlikely. What if it's somebody near Pomeroy Meadow on, say, Parsons? They're not gonna walk it's pretty
Right.
far for a kid to walk all the way around, and
yeah,
they're not gonna do that. I'm
Right.
just thinking, cut across somebody's yard, maybe.
yeah, right.
Maybe that's something to think about.
No, I'm just thinking in terms of, again, and that may be a question to ask in terms of just understanding. I'm thinking of the crosswalks we've got up on Route 10 that were, put in, by Cumbies and along that area, just in terms of how far apart they are, where these would be a whole lot closer, even if there were 2, one at Rosalie and one at Parsons Way. And I don't know, again, whether that's right or wrong in terms of, having a required minimum or anything like that. So I think we've got a few questions that we need to
Yeah.
Right.
try
Right.
and pose.
Difference how, if you went with just 1, does it matter how close it is to the school? Would that
Right,
factor? I don't
right.
know.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like you could, you'd have to raise a little bit more money elsewhere, but if we needed to do 2, if one of them is around 3,000 just for the crossing part, then all the extra stuff for signage or whatever else would be, on top, that would have to be outside the grant, but
Right.
Um,
I think maybe Chapter 90 funding might be able to,
yeah, I would
again,
think so
that's
too.
something that Randall would have to,
Right,
would be.
yeah, I think so too, so. Okay, well, how about, without belaboring, how about we say that I will try and, based on this, just make up some questions and, I don't know, Ian, would you have a chance to catch up with Randall at all and just
Yeah, of
ask a
course.
couple questions?
Sure.
If you would do that, and then I'll reach out to Diane Hansen and just see if she can help answer a couple of questions as well, and then we can kind of compare notes. But I think we may as well, give it a go. And I think, Aliza, as soon as you can get any data about, the kids in that area, because I think if it doesn't show that there's that many kids, that's going to be a hard argument to make, right? So,
Yep.
so I don't want to spin our wheels, but it seems like, given the parents have approached Ian, that there must be some level of concern there, and more than one family, I would hope, that has kids in the area.
Well,
Mhm.
is it possible to look over like a period, like, 10 years? How many kids have lived there? Because families come and go. I mean,
True.
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe over the last 5 years or something,
Yeah.
something like that, if it's possible. But yeah, okay. Well,
Right.
why don't we do that? And then, I know school's starting on the 31st. It seems like we would want to get a quick meeting in just to say, yes, we're gonna roll with it or not.
Have you
Could we
looked at
meet?
the grant itself? Like, is there much narrative or is it all just?
No, that's what I went through. That's just that Excel form.
Oh,
That's all there is to apply. And like I say, it's deceptively simple in many ways. I mean, it needs a good argument, I think, in terms of justifying the need, but the costing is kind of, they're not asking for, a design or anything else. And that's where I don't quite understand if DOT itself comes in and starts looking at the design work. If that's part of their purpose in life, is to do that, because it certainly seems like they have a role to play and they're the technical experts on this. So we'll find out. But how about, could we have a quick meeting on the 1st at some point in time? Would that work, just to see what we know by then? And then,
First, let me check my schedule.
yeah, it'll be September 1st. It's actually a Thursday.
Oh, that's so soon.
It's just a week out, because this is due on the 23rd. So if we were going to do it, we'd have 1, 2, 3 more weeks to put it together.
I think that's
Um,
fine as long as it's like, could we do I could do 2:30 as long as it's like not a brief meeting.
Yeah, okay, well, we can see that. And I don't know, Ian and Eliza, I know,
My
I can
schedule
try.
shows I can.
yeah,
I can
Yeah.
try.
okay. Or if you couldn't make it, is there somebody else you could have on your staff that might be able to make it, and just pass on the information that you've gathered, or
Yep. Yep.
something like
So-
that, just so that we have,
2:30 should work as long as I'm done by 3, because we'll have dismissal and it'll be the second day of school. So all hands are on deck, those first few days of school to make sure everybody gets home safely.
All
So
right,
Oh,
I
well,
it's
will,
the same thing
I
at
can do
Smith.
2:30 to 3. What'd
Yeah.
you say, Caitlin?
I said it's the same thing at Smith. It's, it's actually central check-in that day, which is pretty much all day.
okay, well, the other thing would be if Friday is the 2nd. I don't know if that's any better.
First is fine as long, like I said, as long
Yeah.
as it's not a super long
Yeah.
meeting.
Would you rather do it a little bit earlier, just because of the scheduling? I mean, would you rather do like 1:30?
I could do 2, I could do 2.
2 o'clock I could do.
2:00?
Let's do 2.
All right, let's try 2:00, and we'll try and make it, just real quick to see what we know by then, and then figure out what we have to do. But we should be able to get enough information to make that decision by then, okay? So on September 1st, Thursday at 2:00, all right? And I'll send a
Sounds
link
good.
around. Good, no, that's great. So that's perfect on that. So thank you, at least for Ian and Eliza, at least to have joined in, much appreciated. And we'll let you escape if you'd like to.
Okay.
And Kate and Diana, just a couple quick things for you, that nothing too much, just a little bit of news there, but
Okay.
Great.
good.
All right.
Thanks.
Great,
Thanks very
thank
much,
you.
guys.
Have a nice
Appreciate it.
day.
You
All
too.
right, take
too.
care.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. So just 2 things. I think I had sent around a message to you that our RAISE grant, the federal thing for the Greenway, came back with sorry, but no thanks. So we didn't get our $1 million grant. In fact, there was
I
hardly
think that was a
anybody
little bit
from.
wishful thinking, but it was worth
Yeah, I
trying.
know. But I don't know if you, I think it had a link in there. If you notice the listing of projects, there was like nobody from Western Massachusetts. There were 2, I think, in Massachusetts itself, and they were down in the Boston area. So, it was a federal grant. We knew it was a big one. And, anyway, we tried. So that one is off the table. We still have not heard from the second round on Mass Trails, which was the other 200,000. So I don't know. I'm still hoping that we'll hear on that soon. I mean, the federal, fiscal year closes on September 30th. So I would think anytime in the next month, for sure, we should know one way or another on that part. It's kind of interesting that they've been pretty quiet so far on it, but since they were kind of begging us to put in a second application, so I don't quite understand, I don't know how to react to what they're doing or not doing. And then the other one was the culvert grant that Randall had been putting forth with tie and bond on the culvert assessment. And as you know, we didn't get the MHP one, MVP one, the municipal vulnerability preparedness one, but tie and bond did work with Randall and Ed and got submitted sort of a similar kind of grant called the asset management grant. And they did get that submitted on the deadline, and it would be for a similar project in terms of looking at the number of culverts and their quality, et cetera, around town. So that one did get submitted thanks to their efforts. So maybe we'll have a chance on that one too. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that much anyway, but we'll keep our fingers crossed still on the mass trails.
Mhm.
All right. So
You know,
that's
you
all.
sent out that information on the trails from a new style of trails and all that, trail resource, I think. it's
Yes.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that was useful, and I've been communicating a bit with Friends of Southampton Open Space. They're hoping to do some stuff at Clearwater,
Mhm.
and I sent that on to them. But I just wondered before I, said anything like to them, like they really should be applying for some grants themselves. And
Yeah.
I given them a lot of information about, and I don't think they've ever followed up, but
Mhm.
I just wondered what your thoughts, I mean, like if they said, could you guys help us with a grant or something? And
Yeah. I mean, I think we could certainly help. I mean, I think they have to define what their problem is and figure out, where they would like to focus. And then I don't know, this is for trail maintenance kind of stuff or?
or really like at Clearwater, maybe some bridges are needed.
Yep. Yeah. So even looking at this Triax information I sent around, it looks interesting kind of stuff. I mean, but you'd have to have some money to pay for that too. So I'm not sure which grant's coming open next, but we'd have to keep an
Well,
eye on that.
I mean, there's one private one I know of that
Yeah.
might be worth it. Just didn't know if we wanted to. I don't want to take on a lot of work,
Well, and I mean, this has got to be like about the fifth time for mass trails. So I'm a little bit
Yeah.
leery of
Yeah,
just
I don't
going.
think it'd be a mass trails one. It's
No,
not big enough really, but
right.
yeah.
So it might be something else we could take a look at. And I think I may have forgotten to send around that list of all the grants, which I will do. I swore I did it last time, and I think I had a couple of issues with my outbox, and I found a lot of emails recently that had been caught in my outbox that I thought had been sent, and they hadn't been. So I will send that around again. But yeah, I think I'd rather stay away from mass trails for a little bit and give us all a breather on them or them with us, because I don't want to, get them annoyed that we're
They're
only
on our
applying.
health.
Yeah, we're zoning in on them a little too much, but at least until we get the next grant, right?
Until we wrap up the 2 Man Meadows grants.
Oh, I know.
I don't know what's happening, whether that company signed the contract or not.
I think they did. I think I heard they did. I think so. Yeah. So
I mean,
I'm
once
pretty sure
that happens, I'm gonna be pretty busy because I think I'm in charge of all the accounting and all that.
Oh yeah. Well, with working with Bradley, he'll be a big help. So
Hopefully, yeah.
yep. So good. Okay, so I think nothing else on my end, guys. I just wanted to, get this part done and see where we are, and then, like I said, we'll get back together in about a week or so and just see whether we want to move with this. It seems like we should be able to. I just don't know, the answers to some of these questions, and it sounds like the webinar didn't go into some of the level of detail either. So
you don't even have to write a cover letter for this grant or anything?
No, I mean they would like support letters. So support letter from like select board and the Department of Engineering, highway, whatever they call it. So any those are fine, but nothing. No, there's not even a budget timeline. They determine the timeline. It's a 2-month timeline, so it's kind of like, okay. So it's just kind of interesting. And in fact, let me just pull this one just real quick back up here. Because this is what was confusing to me, I think. Come back up here on the very first page, I think it was. So here's where we are. So the applications are due the 23rd. We know by the 17th whether we're in the game or not. And then this scoping meetings and walk audits happen within that month. Plans are then developed somewhere between November and by February, or so delivered for review. You know, that's what's kind of vague in all of this information. So I really have to go back and just double check again, you know, how this all works, because it's not evident like it was with the other grant for the sidewalk that there is a separate technical assistance group that has been selected to help out. But then when you got down to that green part that I had highlighted here, this is what was kind of confusing. So they're going to provide the news, you know, the program will provide this. So it sure makes it sound like they are the TA. But I really would like, I can't imagine why that wouldn't have been covered in the webinar. Like I say, it just happened 2 days ago, I think. So the recording should be out soon. And I'll send the link around when I see it, but I will, I think, send a message off to the person who organized it and just say, look, we're just trying to be sure that we qualify, and could you answer a couple questions for us? So, all right. Any other thoughts on this? If
They
not,
don't do that easy. That's my
I've
fault.
been a woman of few words, but I am listening. But I mean, I'm
Yeah.
happy to help in any way possible.
sure, no, understand. And I don't know, you know, like I say, it's probably deceptively easy. So that's why part of me, you know, my radar is up saying, I want to trust this and double check a couple things. So we will do that just to be sure, but hopefully we're on the right track. So anyway, it's at least a grant program that seems to meet the need that, you know, Ian had been approached about. So but where we situate a crosswalk is a good question. I have not a clue how you would choose which place is best. So that's where they would have to come in somehow. So that's their expertise, I would think. So, all right. Good. Well, if nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn, because that's really all I wanted to talk about today, since both Ian and Eliza had the chance to attend the webinar, and they're kind of
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining in, and have a great weekend, Kate. I know you got a busy one.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. All right, bye.
All right. Take care, guys. Yeah, we'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.